of us to know about. The Black Women's Health Initiative is definitely something that we need to make sure we support, something that we understand is important to our community. And the leadership of the organization is done by a Black woman who is concerned, who takes the energy, the professional commitment to continue to transform our community in the area of health. Dr. Blount, how are you?
I'm doing well, but better than I deserve, I'm sure. How are you?
I'm not sure that I am great. I mean, I'm blessed. Obviously, I'm not a frontline worker. So when you think about the health and, imperative at this point, women's health imperative, how would you describe it in the midst of COVID?
Well, we kind of joke sometimes. Depending on the week, we either give up sleep or food. There's a lot to be done. And when, we're in the middle of two pandemics, COVID-19 and the kind of racial injustice, the illumination of it that we haven't seen in 50, 60 years. So in a way it's good because this needed to come out, but in a way it couldn't have come at a worse time because so many people are dealing with the struggles of just day to day. And now they're having to deal with the struggles and stress that something we've known and lived with all our lives is finally showing us and showing people. And so now there's lots of energy around it, and that's a good thing. But in some ways it's just too much. But at Black Women's Health Imperative, we're here, we're in it every day, we show up, and we're gonna do our best to make sure that Black women have justice, have the kind of health that they deserve, and can do it in a society that's not demonizing them every day.
Good luck with that. It doesn't seem to come natural.
Not for some people, but the work that you're doing to help us get the word out, to talk about how important health is and what the threats are to our health that people may not even sort of think about every day is really important. I mean, it's having partners like you that help us talk to women every day in the way that they talk about health themselves, and then to take the science and bring it into that conversation in a way that the everyday woman can say, oh, okay, I get it. Now I know what to do. That's really important.
But you didn't just say women's health imperative. You said Black women's.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And being the CEO, the president, leadership at this time and leading Black women, I admire. I've really had to help my brothers with their glasses. I've shared with so many brothers, and I don't know, maybe it's because my mom, raised me the majority of my life, and so I knew how important our relationship was. So disrespecting her, we talk every day still at 87. So it's a whole.
That's a blessing.
And I know some days I'm just a comfort blanket. She only called to hear it say, okay, the world's okay. He's okay, but I'm okay. So I understand that. But 37 years thinking about women. I've just had my mom, but you've had this organization and the service is impeccable. Share your CEO vision with me.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, we started 37 years ago, so this is year 38 for us, when Billie Avery, longtime organizer, activist, brought 2,000 of her closest friends together on the Spelman's campus and said, we Black women need to take care of each other and take care of ourselves. And so for all of those years, that's what we've been doing. I mean, we focus, on chronic disease prevention, diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, maternal mortality, HIV prevention, and of course, sexual health and rights, reproductive justice is at our core. And what I bring is research. We've got a tremendous policy team, so we're in at certain tables having conversations about policy. And we know how to tell our story. Our communications team is unparalleled. We know how to tell the story. But I often say you need data to tell the story, but you never tell the story of data because people aren't interested. So what I bring is being able to translate that research into something that's meaningful, not only for the everyday woman, but for corporations, for policymakers. Because until and unless we really grasp that, we keep spinning our wheels. And so our purpose is, that vision is to make sure women can live their healthiest lives, but to affirm the Black woman every step of the way along her wellness journey. Every Black woman wants to be healthy, and she's doing everything she can to be healthy, and she's taking care of her family. And at 87, she still calls her son just to make sure things are okay. That's what we do. And that's what we want to make sure women can continue to do. And right now with this terrible environment we're in over George Floyd's brutal murder and so many others, and now COVID-19, it's just more important than ever that Black women have the right information so they can make the best decisions for themselves.
I respect you and what you're doing. It just seems as though even we as a community are just beginning to accept the fact that we lay heavy weights on our Black women. I mean, Taraji came out and said, hey, don't make me your superwoman, because that's a whole lot.
That is.
When I take the cape off the cast and I walk out here, I am a Black woman, no matter how famous, no matter how many statues, no matter how many checks. Why was that so important for us to hear, to process?
Because we hear it every single day. And you have to go back 400 years to look at how Black women were treated when we were brought to this country and how we've been treated ever since. Chattel, reproductive vessels, objects to be experimented on, as J. Marion Sims did in 100 years ago, for science purposes that didn't benefit us. And then, more recently, you can go back, 60 years to the Southern Strategy, where a deliberate attempt was made to marginalize Black men and put the weight of communities on Black women. But we've been taking care of people for all the time that we've been here. Taraji's point is well taken. Yes, that is what we do, but that is not what people should expect of us. We need help. Our Black men help us, but what happens is we've been socialized over all these years to assume that responsibility, to put that cape on and keep it on. And what we see is, while yes, we may be super women, that wears on us. The number one health issue for Black women is stress. It is not diabetes and heart disease and high blood pressure. It is stress. And now we've got so much research that looks at how racial discrimination and gender discrimination actually affects our health and shortens our lifespan. So we have to take that off. My founder, Billy Avery, and I say all the time, no is a complete sentence. I say use it early and often, because we can't do it all. And at the end of the day, we're the ones that pay the price. And we owe it to ourselves to relax, to step back, to take that cape off and not take on other people's stuff. We have enough of it on our own.
I share with you in just giving the lens to my brethren. I mean, literally, it's like you might want to have new optics. You might want to acknowledge when you're buying into some European family setup in terms of you can cook dinner for 5 nights in a row. You can actually wash those dishes and help clean up the house. You can say thank you and I apologize. You can ask for forgiveness 1,000 times. You can pick up what you put down. You actually can do that. And by doing that, the one that you love will know that you love them versus the one that you love is servicing you. I think we've gotten used to that.
You know, you're describing a partnership, you know. Doesn't mean you have to do everything equally. It just has to be done fairly. And as far as I know, nobody ever lost a limb picking up their laundry or washing the dishes. So it can be done, and it can make all the difference in the world. And especially now, especially with all the messaging and negative imagery that we get, we need to stand together and support each other.
But you've got a whole unifying moment. I mean, when you talk about putting together a mindset in a movement, which I consider the Black Women's Health Imperative a movement. So when you have a movement, you're coming together to...
Yeah. First of all, we're coming together. And we're bringing a number of different voices in the room, voices that we don't always hear, we don't see in the media. Some we do. But it's to reaffirm what we know about ourselves. It's to reaffirm our value and our worth. I mean, I'll give you an example. Black women in the corporate world. We know this is true among low-income workers, but people hadn't thought about upper-income workers. Black women in the corporate world work 20% more than their white counterparts. So for that, there's no increased revenue for the company. There's no greater productivity. There's no greater promotion. What we're doing is two things. We're double and triple and quadruple checking our work to make sure it's perfect because we feel like we have to be perfect. And we're suffering. That's the second thing. Hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, maternal mortality, all of these things. And the interesting and really, frankly, angering thing about this is if we stopped, no one would notice. So we feel like we have to do this. So we need a movement or a refinement of the movement that says, don't do that anymore. Take the cape off, say no, take care of yourselves. And so starting Sunday, next week, we're going to be reaffirming that message in a number of different ways, looking at healthy aging and how we live and the women's movement and maternal mortality and youth. We're going to take a broad view. We're going to look at LGBT issues and talk about what it means to be a Black woman in this society, in this moment, and what we can do to take care of ourselves, preserve our mental health, get to a place of peace, help our families, and survive both COVID-19 and the social injustice to make our stamp on it so that 2, 3, 5 years from now, we're not still having the same conversation.
Well, I don't know, because I saw some really bright movement moments. You know, when I think of a conference, when I think of the ability to see things, individuals and hear conversations, what are some of the highlights? Because you've put together quite what I would consider a holistic woman take a view at yourself so that it's a reflection of her genius, a reflection of Black excellence, a total reflection appears to be coming through.
Yeah, so we wanted to start with having a conversation. You know, the whole week is open, honest conversation with really courageous women willing to share their stories. You know, Shanti Das will talk about emotional wellness and her journey. Tanika Gray is going to talk about struggling with uterine fibroid tumors. 80% of Black women have them and are debilitating, and we live with pain and heavy bleeding unnecessarily. We have inspirational women. Ernestine Shepard is 82 years old and a bodybuilder. I wish I looked like that woman. 82. And Kanika Harris, who's a maternal health expert, will talk about her incredible, unimaginable journey. And then we've got Angelica Ross and Miss Lawrence who are going to lead a conversation about the trans experience. I mean, every day we hear another story about a trans woman being killed. And we've got leaders and lionesses in the movement. We've got Angela Davis and Melissa Harris Perry and Billy Avery, who will talk about the movement, where it was, how it started, and what it means now. And of course, we have to look at the whole gamut of, emotional wellness and aging and reproductive health, but also hear from our young sisters, the next generation of leaders, activists, and thinkers. We've got writers, celebrities, policymakers, and activists. So this is a week-long conversation that's interactive, where people will be honest, lay bare their experiences. There's so many more people who have said, I am willing to come on and partner with the Black Women's Health Imperative and be vulnerable because this conversation is important. And so we invite women to come and listen, participate, share their own stories, because through that willingness to be vulnerable, we can actually get to the kind of strength that we need. But we're told every day, keep it to yourself. Don't share anything. If you're not feeling good, if you're depressed, don't tell anybody. Just suck it up, pray on it, it'll go away. It doesn't go away.
How can people attend? Excuse me, how can people attend?
Well, they can attend by going to anniversary.bwhi.org, register, sign up for all of the sessions or whatever sessions speak to them. Let us know, sign up, and then stay in touch with us. Because this is a conversation that starts on Sunday and goes next week, but it doesn't end on Saturday. It's going to continue, and we need all Black women in this movement. We all have our stories to share. We all have stories of strength and pain and growth and resilience, and we need to hear them all so that we have that person to call, that person to lean on. We've got to form our own community. We're going to take care of ourselves and take care of each other.
I wish it was that simple. That's not what I see, because when I look at that week, I think about the gifts that any mother-daughter watching, any young person who wanted to know. I mean, if you bring Angela Davis to a moment, those often what I love about what you guys are doing is giving the community access to things that they don't always have access to. That's what I love about your movement.
Yeah. And we do, and that's the beauty of these women is they're making themselves available, but not just coming on and sort of being the talking heads, but being open about their struggles and being open about their successes and their triumphs. All of these women are inspirational, no matter what their stories. And what we hear is when women participate, we do Black and Well TV just about every Friday. And when women participate, they're getting accurate, timely information that they can act on. And we hear from them, thank you. That's what I needed to know. That's what I needed to see. Literally we hear this, I know I'm not crazy. Like, no, of course you're not crazy. But we have to affirm that over and over again. And it is so helpful to have women who have been through it, who are still going through it, remind us that we have what it takes. It's not simple, but we have what it takes. And if we lean on each other, if we actually treat ourselves like we are part of a movement, then yeah, we can get there.
The other thing I've looked at is how we can train our minds and spirit by attending this conference.
We, particularly around the emotional wellness part of this conference, there's going to be some really powerful information. I mean, Shanti Das has an incredible story, and I won't share it here. I'll let people experience it for themselves. But what she will talk about and others is really the holistic nature of that. I mean, there's a meditative practice, there could be your spiritual practice, or other kinds of practices, but there's also a way of just looking at who you are in this society right now. And so people, the people who tune in, and particularly Black women, will get from this, oh, I see there's some things I can do, because everybody's under stress now. I mean, I can't imagine being the mom of 3 children who are in elementary school. Like, what are you going to do in 2 weeks? We're all stressed out. But women will come away from this week and these sessions with tools, with strategies, with resources, with answers, with next steps to take care of themselves so they can find some peace and be able to deal with this insanity that's out here.
Let's watch a video. Short one. Big.
And energy and positive and vibrant, that is who we are. You know, Black women don't see themselves as broke down at all. That is not how we view ourselves or our health. So we came at this with what Black women bring to the world every single day.
You know, a few CEO questions. You know, I work to make a difference, and I want you to finish these sentences. I work to make a difference by.
I work to make a difference by making sure that the vision for Black women's health and Black women's health imperative is clear, that I provide the resources to an incredibly talented staff, that I run interference so they can do what they are really good at, and remind people every day of the value of supporting Black women and the value that we bring, and that I've got this team that shows up and shows out for Black women. And we have a whole lot of experience being Black women.
You think about some of the other, what are the best ways for a healthy lifestyle changes? What are some of the best ways?
So I would start with trying to manage stress. We've got a program called Change Your Lifestyle, Change Your Life. It's a partnership with CDC funded by the Centers for Disease Control. And we are their top performing grantee in this program that was designed to reduce diabetes, reduce the risk for diabetes and the occurrence of it. We start with, how do you feel? Because if we don't start there, then you don't understand why you're eating the way you're eating or not exercising. So we start with, how do you feel, and go from there. So what women can do first is try to manage their stress. There's plenty of tools and techniques for that. Then looking at how we use food. Are we stress eaters? Do we eat when we get depressed? Really examining that, look at what you're eating. And then it's about getting, moving. We don't have to go to the gym. Can't now anyway, but it's not necessary. What's necessary is to move. So do find those things that bring you joy. I can't tell you how many times I dance salsa in my kitchen. Do those things that bring you joy. If it means getting outside and going for a walk, you can do that. But the important thing is just to move. You don't have to be an Olympic athlete. You don't have to do that stuff on late night TV. It's just get out and get your body going, because that will make you feel so much better.
How has technology played a role in with the Black women's imperative?
Well, we, like a lot of folks, are looking at how data are used and how technology is used. And so this year, I guess this fall, we will launch the very first app to prevent chronic disease for Black women. So it's in development now, and we're going to go into user testing next month. And it is designed by us, for us, and it will speak to our lived experiences, our realities, and it'll be something Black women can have with them on their phones, wherever they go, or on their tablets, so with information, tools, strategies, classes, coaching, in person. You can video chat, look at videos, have tools, have quizzes, exercises, but it's what women need in their hands when they need it to live the healthiest that they possibly can.
And what made you think about this tool?
We have to. We know how Black women live. We know what their days are like. We asked Black women to define health, and did a study on that, and they need this information wherever they are, because we're all over the place. We're doing too many things. We're too busy, and it becomes a challenge sometimes to think about, what am I going to eat today, or how am I going to get through this day or get through this project. So part of this technology in this app will be positive reinforcement, affirmations, and women will be able to engage with each other through this technology, as I said, with their coaches, and keep a log of what they're doing so that they can get the positive reinforcement and record their successes. There's a part called the dream box. Like, what do I want for my life? Put it in the dream box. Let's make it happen.
So when you think about that, what are some of the stories that make you most proud about being a part of the Black Women's Imperative?
Well, I'm proud of the heritage, the shoulders that I stand on in this movement. Billy Avery, obviously, but so many others. But at the individual level, that we have so many stories of success and pride. There's one of our participants in the Change Your Lifestyle program, Helen, tells a story, and I'll be brief. She was in her home. Her son is a fireman. She tells this story, and she has several children. He comes into the kitchen and he asks her to stand up, and she kind of blows him off, and he says, "No, Mom, stand up." So she stands up, and she describes it. This big burly fireman bursts into tears. Helen lost 130 pounds through this program. Mm. And he said to her, and it still makes me get choked up, he said, "We thought we were going to lose you." So it's stories like that where we know it can be done. We can find peace. We can get healthy. We can take care of ourselves. And that's why we're here. That's why we show up for work every single day.
It's so beautiful. It sounds like she found herself through the Black Women's Health.
Yeah.
I really love that story. I think the beauty of even thinking about this conference is people can see and find themselves there, so that you have a very strong what I consider principle. Everybody's looking for this leadership. But I'm like, if she gives you the principle and the tools, just apply those in the absence. And it sounded like his mother found herself through, your imperative. It literally, and obviously she made her health an imperative at that moment.
She did. She put herself first, and her family couldn't have been happier. Yeah, that's what we need to do.
Barbara Fields says, much needed app, amazing, strong Black women. So those are the kind of comments you're getting. So there must be some anticipation, obvious need. I think the other thing that really makes me proud of what you're doing as a leader is that it's authentic and culturally relevant. I think it's far too often that the conversation, the whole interaction is absence of a cultural lens, a respectful lens, the absence of bias. How do you do it? Because that's a tough journey when everybody wants to tell you how to do it.
Yes and no. We are Black women. We've got one person on staff who's not a Black woman. Let me kind of go through it. So we know a little something about being Black women and about what we need and how we talk about our health. Now, yes, we have lots of partners, we get support, but at the end of the day, it is always and only about Black women and Black women's health. So doing that is not hard. Having that conversation is not difficult at all. It's a joy to be able to talk about health and how we can improve our health. What gets to be a challenge is how we get portrayed in media oftentimes, and how even some of my public health colleagues, epidemiologists, talk about data and Black health, where, you know, the way we often talk about the data, people get the impression, well, it must be because they're Black. Well, that's not it. So we have the opportunity, and what we have been doing is to change that narrative. We know how Black women view themselves. We know how to talk about health. We know how to talk about Black women. So we can reinforce that positive message and keep highlighting the incredible advances and successes that happen every single day.
Having the founder there and being founded at Spelman, what is that like? Because can you describe those moments, some of the moments that bring you the most joy, just having access?
I wish I could. I mean, it is really powerful. Last November, we had a session with students at Spelman, and we were talking about menstrual insecurity. We don't often think of that as a thing in the US, but even here in Atlanta, where I am, there are girls, young ladies in low resource schools that may miss up to a month of the school year because they can't afford menstrual products. So we had a conversation at Spelman, and the women there shared some of their stories. And I had no idea how fraught menstrual issues, menstruation is among Black women. And Billy was there leading, Billy Avery was leading this, and she has her own story. And it was really just magical to see these women open up, Billy share her stories, they share theirs, and this bond that took place in this room, in this conversation with these, you know, brilliant women from Spelman. And, you know, they saw her as their mother, their grandmother. And I mean, that's really what we're about. We create that community. We have that conversation in a way that is for us, and led by us. It was just beautiful. And I was just, for me, I just got to sit back and watch it happen. It was amazing.
But they can watch it again.
They can't. This was not recorded.
It's ready to happen in a few.
It's going to come up next week. Yep.
And where and how and why and how much, whatever it takes for people to understand how to have an experience that is transformative.
Yeah.
And Black women's health imperative is transformative. So how can they do that? Because I don't want anybody to miss it.
Well, go to our website, anniversary.bwhi.org, register, sign up, all of the sessions or some of the sessions. We start off with Angela Davis and Billy Avery. So that's certainly a great place to begin. But there are sessions every day, and there's something for everyone. So I just encourage women to, you know, make that time, view it as self-care, because they're going to get knowledge, they're going to get information, tools, strategies, motivation, inspiration from women who have, from all walks, who have had incredible journeys and are still having them. And they'll be able to engage with the speakers as well. So I just encourage us all, we deserve it. Our health is worth it, and we're going to come away better for it.
Well, I really appreciate that. I always love hearing this. We're in the pandemic. And people ask, I said, well, how are you? I said, I'm not the one you need to ask. You need to ask the mom that has 3 kids that has to catch the bus. Mm-hmm. Don't ask me, you know, sometimes we just be talking weather. I tell them now, obviously, you know, and when I'm living in Chicago, you know, it's cold outside. I said, but don't ask me. Black male, I can walk. I don't have to hold no baby. I don't have to carry 3 children. I don't have to feed anybody. I am not there. And I'm not sure that we know how to really address I'm concerned. I really am. During this moment that they're unemployed, frontline worker, AI, trying to catch a new skill set, trying to catch a break at a moment where their life is threatened by something even worse that they can't see on top of racism. But now you've added something that they can't see. So their health. And then there's a cost for that health. How are women coping with that new level? You talk about stress, but you know, when they come to the conference, will they be getting tools that'll help them manage this? Because it seems like a phenomenal thing to be experiencing at this moment, because you probably will gain some tools on how to work through this, because it's a crisis.
Absolutely, will they will. I mean, there will be tools for stress management, but there's also going to be tools for dealing with this new reality. So, you know, sneak preview. I mean, there are moms with school-age children who have, you know, they have to rethink things. Their kids can't go to school. And so there are moms who are getting together to say, you know what, we're going to have school with our kids. It'll be like the old days where we had multiple ages in a classroom. We're going to hire teachers and essentially homeschool these kids. And probably, you know, the thinking is they'll get a better education than they might have gotten in public school, because they'll be focused on getting that education. Moms are talking about taking turns, like I'll teach science, you teach math, you teach reading. But we are working it out. And these things are still evolving, but people who pay attention to these strategies will come away with something really powerful. But tune into these sessions and they're going to learn what other people are doing and get ideas, and then build on those ideas themselves when they come away from that week, when they come away from these sessions. So what we hope to do is continue the conversation. Like, please tell us what you got from this. Tell us what you're doing so we can share that with, you know, on our website, with our listenership, with the women that we touch every day. Because some women are going to get great ideas. They're going to expand on them. They're going to do what we do, which is make something wonderful. And we want to hear about it so we can share those stories as well. Like I said, this conversation does not end.
But when's it start?
It starts Sunday. Absolutely. And if you go online, Sunday evening is the first session, again, with Angela Davis and Billy Avery. So you don't want to miss that. And online is the complete schedule, all of the speakers. You learn about them, you learn about the issues, get an overview of what each session is about. So, you know, there's protecting your peace, there's Black Mothers Matter, there's, you know, not suffering in silence. This is about uterine fibroid tumors, you know, healthy aging. I talked about LGBTQ, you know, looking at our health through that lens. There's just so much here. And there, as I said, there is something for everyone. You will not be disappointed, and you will come.
What are you presenting?
Well, I get to be a fly on the wall with Billy Avery and Angela Davis. And I also, yeah, I just get to, they'll let me be in a little corner on the screen. And I'll also be talking about emotional health and uterine fibroid tumors. So I can bring a little bit of science in, and, you know, a lot of passion and a lot of enthusiasm.
All right. So a 1 minute, come to the Black Women's Health Imperative July.
Our anniversary week.
Our anniversary week.
Year 38.
Year 38. I was waiting for you to say all this. So.
Well, I wanted you to say it. You know, you all are a partner, you know.
I love being a partner. I literally, you know, I could say it forever. My point was getting you to say it. I think, you know, you've been on a few of my shows, and I love your leadership. So it's very different. You know, CEO to CEO, at the end of the day, moving and having a vision the whole idea of the culture you're creating. See, for me, it's a cultural thing. I think people didn't anticipate a movement, so this feels like a movement. I'm not sure if even an Angela Davis story post-pandemic would be the same. Not that she's not the same, but given the uprising, to be able to hear from a mother of a real movement and a movement survivor, because we have lost, obviously, in the last week, movement, big trees. And I tell people, the whole idea of a tree is it gives life and canopy to so many, and life under. So I really love what it is that you're doing as your vision, because it's so timely. Like, you could have had anybody. I don't know that even Michelle Obama would have been able to talk about a movement. She had one, but clearly at this moment, for racial justice and social justice, and to be able to have the discussion, 38 years ago, that's a whole different lens.
It is, and in some ways it's the same, unfortunately. I mean, when we look at things like segregation and income inequality, even health disparities, they're the same now as they were in 1972. So we have, yes, made some progress, but there are a lot of areas where we still have a lot of progress to make. So I think starting with grounding in the movement, hearing from the mothers, the foremothers of this movement, is the right place to begin, because it'll set the frame for all of these other activists, young sisters who are going to come along and talk about various health issues. And even, some of our more seasoned sisters, where we talk about healthy aging. I'm telling you, imagine an 82-year-old bodybuilder. So, Ernestine Shepherd. So I want women to see all aspects of us, all facets of our lives, and other people, because there won't only be Black women who are who are attending these sessions and attending these calls. But it's important to show us in all of our glory, all of our strength, all of our complexity. So, I would just say, for anyone who's listening, anniversary.bwhi.org, but find those sessions that speak to you. You have questions. We all have questions about our health. We're all seeking. There's some answers to be found next week. And then the questions continue and the answers continue. So please,
share this video.
Can't go wrong. Yes, absolutely. Look at the video.
Share the videos. Sign up for the app. I'm really inspired by this app. I really think it's important that we have more culturally specific technology for our community that is thoughtful. Definitely Black women, as much support as we literally can leverage will only benefit our entire community. Mm-hmm. That's why I say your leadership is so important, your vision. You're always step back, but I just want people to know that it is your vision. You do have a vision, and that just kind of highlights the vision, because now women will have access again to something that they don't have to leave, they don't have to wonder. I mean, we're in a culture where we need coaching. We need to be able to know where our bodies are, where we are at a moment's notice, and have a supportive Black women's health initiative in our hands, and someone who is there for us.
Technology is really important, and it's important that we take technology that is affirming to us with us wherever we go, because there's so much out there that isn't, to be honest. And so we need to be the ones to develop the technology that we need. So we're doing this through our app, and there are a lot of sisters out there developing technology. And so this isn't the end. We want to partner with them and make sure that we expand technology in the right way to us, the way we need it. So that is a commitment from the Black Women's Health Imperative. And I'm excited, because what we're talking about doesn't exist. So I'm really looking forward to how women interact with this technology, what we learn from them, and it'll be a constant improvement. As we hear about new ideas, new ways to use technology, we'll incorporate it, because at the end of the day, it supports us and our health, and that's what it's about.
Well, it seems that you guys are definitely doing it. I don't think that that's a try. It's a real thing. It's a movement. I think I'm going to continue to say that you've got a movement going on. It's a movement, and I think I'm very proud. I love the add of technology, but this conference is so needed during this moment, so people can tune in, see themselves. Women can tune in, brothers can lean in and kind of listen a little bit, so you can kind of figure out how to support the sisters, your aunts, your aunties, your grandmothers, and I think even the concept of aging and understanding it, I think we men really don't talk about menopause. We really don't talk about getting fibroids. And they're things that all of us and the women that we love suffer through. And our lack of acknowledgement is so, sad that we aren't emotionally mature enough to really acknowledge menopause. I remember when my mom went through menopause, and I could have been a better son just to, recognize what she was going through.
But you're socialized not to do that. So that is unfortunate. But again, through these conversations, now we have an opportunity to help young men, seasoned men understand and realize that it's not something that they have to avoid. Like, it's okay to talk about fibroids. It's okay to talk about menopause. It's okay to talk about maternal mortality.
Yeah, I think even that, it's funny you should say that, because a friend of mine was talking about his girlfriend losing their child. And then I asked him where he was, and I just don't think he was at her side. And I think sometimes we don't know how to process, how to coalesce our emotions with the individual who's really traumatized. You think you traumatized? She's traumatized. You are not traumatized. She is emotionally connected to something that was breathing. And now you think you're the victim? You need to really dial that back.
Yeah, it's tough if you don't know what to do. You're afraid you'll say the wrong thing. But as you know, in these situations, it's not what you say, it's being there. It's just like, there's nothing you can say that's going to help. All you can do is be there and be that support and just say, I'm with you. We're going to get through this. Whatever it is, whether it's COVID-19 or the stress of watching a man murdered on the street in Minneapolis, we've got to let each other know we are together and we're going to get through this.
It's funny you should say, it's funny. It's tough to say that. And then once again, a woman just can't get justice. Breonna Taylor just can't get justice.
Yeah.
All right. So this is what we have. Just wanted to make sure we all saw this, so we can.
A full week of incredible information, energy, personalities, stories, resources, inspiration. It's going to be wonderful.
We want our community to know that the Black Women's Health Imperative is a cultural icon in our community, definitely servicing them. But I just wanted us to think about how important the work and the culture and the movement you have is, because Breonna Taylor doesn't have justice and Black women don't have justice yet. So I want to thank you for joining me for a seat on the table, at the table. I am so proud of what you have starting. So all of you, tune in, sign up at
anniversary.bwhi.org.
and attend the conference starting Sunday.
It starts Sunday evening at 7 p.m. I guess I should know the time. You will find out when you go to anniversary.bwhi.org and sign up for every session. They're going to be amazing. So, Munson, thank you so much for doing this and for highlighting these really, really important issues.
Well, I want to highlight your issues and I wish it was just mine. I really think what you do is so important. It's not, it's easy. I say that as a man. I just, right now, Black women have it so hard. I mean, I don't know that we say thank you enough. Just thank you. I don't know that we say thank you enough. It is, the super cape, the whole idea that you're putting on a conference at a time where it's tough. I know it is tough, but you put on something that will change the lives of women and our community. So I'm asking everybody out there, definitely come out, definitely make a difference, because for me, that's what matters. When our community can heal, our community can have resources, and you've put together one of the strongest lineups that I've seen as it relates to healing and a cultural movement, to me. And I've seen a lot happening.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, thank you. And we can heal, and we will heal. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with me here to Seat at the Table. I look forward to seeing you soon, again and again and again. You got to come hang out with me at Health IQ soon. It's still a thing.
Okay. I want to do that, and thank you for having me at the table. And I look forward to the day when we can literally be at the table.
I don't know. That sounds like 2022. No, well, America's turned up on the pandemic. I'm telling you, you can go out and get the pandemic. Let's go to Florida. I'm like, who said that? Yeah. Let's go have a meal.
Yeah. It won't be this year. Hopefully next year, but I'm looking forward to it whenever it happens.
Real soon. All right.
Take care. Be well. Thank you.
Peace.